You created a hostile environment in your home? But does that make me the bad guy? I don't know. Does it make you the bad guy? Like, you clearly are admitting that you're making a hostile environment. Well, are you a parent? Do you have roommates? What? All of these things matter. Fixie, did you just hit your brother? No, you're making a hostile environment in our home. Happy apple picking day. Some really quick reminders for any of our new or recurring friends. If you want to transfer your stories to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send it to my subreddit, r/AmITheBadApple. And as a reminder, we all come from different branches of the apple tree. And what that means is we've all lived different lives. And if someone hasn't had an experience, then they're most likely not going to understand that experience. That's just kind of how the world works. So we just kind of keep that in mind as we're communicating down in the comments that not everyone has experienced everything that we have, so they might not understand those points of views until we explain it to them. And again, that's just normal. Some might say common sense, but check out many comment sections on the internet. You'll find common sense isn't always so common. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking! Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for saying my sister can't move in? My sister, 22 female, her boyfriend, let's call him Tom, 24 male, me, 13 female, and my brother, 20 male, are all currently arguing about my sister and her boyfriend moving in. In 2021, my sister moved out and met her boyfriend, and they moved in together under Tom's sister's tenancy. Recently, she hasn't kicked them out, but she did basically say they have a week to get out, and my mom decided to be the mom of the year and asked my sister and her boyfriend if they want to move in here. My brother and I don't want her to move in here. I mean, it's a 3-bedroom house, and me and my brother and my mom all live here in our own rooms. There's no space for her. Well, now they're saying that I have no say in the decision, and I don't think that's fair or right, so am I the bad apple? The comments for this post, I took a peek at the comments just now. It's all children. And I'm sorry, kids, but you are not going to like my response. Because at the end of the day, no, I'm sorry. You don't really get a say in that decision. Because hear me out for a second. Take out the boyfriend for a second, because let's be honest. Even if it was just your sister, it would still be the same situation. Same at the end of the day, right? So here's the thing. This is your mom's house. I understand that you're a minor and you have to be with a parent, understandable, but this is still your mom's house. She pays the bills. If she would like to offer for your sibling, her other child, to come stay at the house, she can do that. It's her house. And it's not like it's some stranger. It's not like it's the neighbor down the street. This is her child. There's nothing, zero zilch bad apple about your mother inviting her other child to come back and live at home. It's just not. And again, forget about the boyfriend for a second, because it would be the same either way. If your sister, who is a 20-something-year-old woman, 22? Am I crazy? 22. A 22-year-old woman is not going to room with her 13-year-old brother or her 20-year-old brother. Sorry, 2 brothers. I think to say that your sister would just have to sleep on the couch for an indefinite amount of time, that's also, it might not be ideal for you, and you might feel it's very unfair, but that's just not realistic. It's just not. What would happen, even if it was just your sister, is you and your brother would still end up probably sharing a room, the 2 brothers, and the sister would get her privacy. And that it would be the same as if it was 2 sisters and then a brother, because that's just how you split up rooms like that. It just is. So whether the boyfriend were to come or not, it would still probably be you and your brother sharing a room and her sister getting a room for privacy of having a boy's room and a girl's room. That's just how it is. And as your mother, it's her house and she's the one paying the bills. She gets to decide to allow her other child to also come back into the house. It makes no difference if the boyfriend is there or not. It would be the same end result. Genuinely. Now your other brother at 20, if he's paying bills, he might get to have like the conversation about it and to say about it, but at the end of the day, this is your mom's house. If she's paying the mortgage and the bills and the utilities, she's buying the food, making the food, whatever, she has every right to offer for her other child to come back into her home. I know it might not be ideal for you and it might feel like an unfortunate situation for you, but it doesn't make her the bad apple. Like, you can be upset about it, like your feelings about that are valid. Yeah, you know, like anyone would feel like a disruption in their normal isn't fun and isn't great, and like you can be upset about it, you can be annoyed about it. But to be 13 and be like, well, I get to be a part of the decision and I don't want this to happen. I'm sorry. It's your mom, it's your brother's mom, it's your sister's mom. She's mom to all of you. You don't get to decide at 13 that you just get to hoard mom's resources and that she's not allowed to use her resources on all of her children. I don't know why the sister can't live where she was living anymore. I don't know why Tom's sister did that. I don't know what's going on with her to where she can't afford a place. Regardless, those details don't matter. The owner of the house is like, I want my child to benefit from my resources, therefore she's going to benefit from her resources. Again, I don't want it to like come off as like you're not allowed to be upset about it, because you absolutely are. That's normal. Your feelings are valid, but that doesn't mean you have a say in changing it. I don't personally see any bad apples in this story, except for like you're kind of getting close to the line when you're like, she's not allowed. That's not really your say. So, sorry if that hurt your feelings. For you, I might go crab apple. If you were just like, oh, I'm just upset this is happening, I would go good apple. But for you to be like, well, me and my brother say that she can't move in here, that is what's putting me in crab apple, because that's not your decision. Approaching it as like, well, we say she can't come. Well, there's no space, and they say I have no say in the decision. Yes. And I know that it can be really hard to like understand at 13, but like your mom works so hard to be able to provide these resources for her kids. You don't get to just decide how she uses them. And I even saw one comment a second ago that was like, well, your mom made it clear who's her favorite. I think that's a really, really entitled way of thinking. To say, well, I'm just gonna make her feel bad for picking a favorite because she's offering housing to my sister. I don't think your mom's the bad apple for offering your sister this, personally. Other people might disagree, and that's fine. I would love to hear your rationale, but that's just my opinion. I'm gonna stop rambling about this. I need to move on. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for telling my sister to stop feeding her baby junk food? My sister has a baby boy who turned 1 in June. I've recently been helping her out by looking after him while she and her partner move houses. I've been increasingly shocked by what she sends him to my house with for lunch. Just today it was a sausage roll in either Greg's or Tesco mystery meat from a multi-pack, 2 bags of crisps, and I'm not talking about lentil crisps or veggie straws. I'm talking about like chocolate biscuits or cake bars or anything like that. Most recently was a Jaffa cake. There's always a yogurt, I guess, thank heavens, but there's not really any form of nutrients in his lunch. At first I tried like a jokey, humorous approach, telling her that my 3-year-old would start getting jealous of all these treats, and that I'm worried that I couldn't cope with my nephew's sugar highs, and etc., etc. But after several weeks of this, I snapped and told her that she's gonna have a poorly child who loses all his teeth by the age of 5 if she feeds him all this junk all the time. Well, she got upset and said that she can't help if her child's a fussy eater, but now she's mortified. And she says that I accused her of being a crap mom, and now things aren't the same between us. Maybe I should have kept my mouth shut, but he's a baby, and he really should be getting a healthier diet. No real idea of where to go from here, so was I the bad apple? Okay, I don't actually know what a 1-year-old should be eating, but I feel like, are they teething at that point? Like half-cut grapes? Like that's the kind of like thing that I'm thinking of. Is that correct, parents? Someone help me out. Listen, I'm gonna need a lot of help from the parents on this one, personally, because again, I don't have kids. I don't know all the faux pas when dealing with other people's children. Like I have, like I taught the teenagers, you know what I mean? Like we don't really have those issues. in high school. Well, I guess there was that one parent that wanted me to follow her kid to lunch to make sure he didn't buy red Gatorade, and I'm like, ma'am, I have a class. No, and she was not happy, but that's not the same. But I am leaning towards, and again, like, I'm totally willing to hear the parents down in the comments because they know way more than me. I'm leaning towards a Bad Batch because I feel like just having like cakes all day probably isn't the best. And like mystery meat, I don't know what that means. Like, maybe my privilege is showing, but I don't know what like Tesco mystery meat is. I never eat that. And then again, that could be my privilege showing. I don't know what that is or like how nutritious that is. But like the connotation in this isn't sounding great. So for those that don't know, like crisps, in like this must be a European person. That's like cookies, right? Or chips, right? No, chips are cookies and crisps are chips. No, but she said, no, crisps I think are cookies. One of them, right? I feel like at one, eating that every once in a while, not the worst in the world, but if it's like every day, like multiple weeks, maybe not the best. And I'm not saying that she's like a bad mom for it. I'm just saying maybe she's a first-time mom and she doesn't really know and could use some of that parenting advice. However, I think there's a way to go about offering parent advice. I think that saying, well, my two options are passive-aggressive comments or telling her that all her baby's teeth are gonna fall out. Like that's like very aggressive sides of the spectrum of how you could offer help to a new mom. I don't like either of those, and I think that I tried being passive aggressive about it and that didn't work. So I told her that her kid is like, all his teeth are gonna fall out. Don't love that. I think that's way too aggressive. So I'm personally gonna go Bad Batch because I don't think anyone is like in the right, if that makes sense. I do think it's valid to hear, oh my God, you're gonna make all your kids' teeth fall out, and then to feel like, what, are you calling me a bad mom? Like, I think that's a valid, some people might say, well, that's a leap. No, I think that's a valid leap, personally. I would feel the same way. God, I can't get this thing out of my eye. Sorry, I like keep looking everywhere crazy. I tried to go to the bathroom and check and I don't see anything, so it's probably a white cat hair. But anyways, I do think that the 1-year-old probably should eat more than just cookies for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. I don't actually know. I'm just assuming that like because of the connotations towards all this food that like OP is saying it's so bad and so unhealthy. Parents, y'all could go in the comments and be like, no, this is like totally fine. And I'd be like, okay, cool that I'm changing from Bad Batch. Like, I just don't know because I'm not a parent. All I have to go off of is like the connotation that she's giving and then what I see like my friends feed their toddlers, which is mostly like cut up fruit. So, yeah, I feel like that's typically my go-to when it has to do with like parenting stories, is I'll like give my opinion based on the experience that I have, which isn't a lot in that field, especially with the littles, because again, I taught high schoolers, and then I just kind of rely on the parents in the comments to let me know what I'm missing or if I'm overthinking something or whatever, and I'm fine continuing to do that. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for not wanting my husband's ex-wife in my house? My stepdaughter asked if she can have her son's birthday party at my home. She and I don't really get along, but I love her son, so I said of course. I said, however, I'm not comfortable with her bio mom, my husband's ex-wife, in my house though, as she's caused a lot of issues, is an addict and a thief. I offered to pay for a venue if they wanted to invite her mom, as to not have her running around inside my house. However, my husband then got upset, insinuating that I just hate my stepdaughter and made him feel like crap, and he's now sleeping somewhere else tonight. I have no issues with the party being here, and I have no issues with the stepdaughter being here, even though we don't really communicate. I just don't want the ex to come, and I don't see why that makes me a bad person. Am I the bad apple? I have a gut feeling that we're missing a lot of information, because sometimes we'll read a story and it'll be like, oh yeah, they totally overreacted. And sometimes I'll read a story and like my gut will just be like, something is is missing. And this is one of those times where I feel like something important is missing. I don't know what, and I'm not gonna make any decisions based off of that. However, here's another opinion that I have. But this is coming from an experience of someone who was married and shared their life with somebody. I feel like, first of all, if you are married to this man, it's his house also. And I think that there are definitely boundaries that you can set of, this person makes me uncomfortable, I don't want them in my home. But I feel like you can't always, sometimes you can, it depends on like what the context obviously matters, right? But you can't just be like willy-nilly, oh, your mother can never come to my home because I don't like her and because she's XYZ. Like, again, there are exceptions when you go like no contact, or, you know, when you both have decided, oh, this person is disrespectful or she has attacked me personally, things like that, right? But in general, without those exceptions, I feel like to say, oh, well, your family is not allowed in my home because I just don't feel comfortable with them being here. That's not always, without those extreme circumstances where the family has just been horrible to you, yelled at you, called you names, been rude to you, whatever, like, it's not always something you can just decide without it's your partner's home too. And I know that in this story, we're not talking about his mom, we're talking about his ex-wife. I understand that, and I understand that has like more layers to it. However, we're not talking about on a general basis. We're talking about you have accepted in hosting your step-grandchild's, like your stepdaughter's son's birthday party. And you've said, but his actual grandmother cannot come. That's a little unreasonable. And like, hear me out. I can already hear the keyboards. Hold on. I understand there's gonna be a lot of people that say like, well, it's her home and she offered to host. She can have who she wants and doesn't want there. Yeah, sure. I feel like it's very irresponsible to accept hosting a party knowing that the actual, like, you're both grandmothers. She's the actual grandmother, you are the step-grandmother. And I just feel like it's silly to be like, oh yes, I, as the step-grandmother, would love to have my husband's grandchild's birthday party here, but his actual grandmother, she can't be a part of it. I feel like if you're gonna offer to have the party, you're gonna offer to have the party, you know? I feel like it's silly to assume that he just wouldn't have your stepdaughter's mother there, right? Like, if you're gonna accept, oh yeah, I'll have this family birthday, but your family can't come. Like, and I understand that she has reasons, but then don't host the birthday. And if you're going to host the birthday, then host the birthday. That's my personal opinion. And I can totally see where some people wouldn't agree with me, but that's just, we have different boundaries. If someone asked, hey, can I have a party at your house, or a get together or dinner or whatever at your house? If I wasn't willing to have her mother there, her immediate family there, I would say no. I wouldn't say yes unless I was willing to have the people that you would expect to be at that party there. It's like when you invite someone to a wedding and you're like, but I don't want your spouse to come. Then they're not gonna come. Like, I understand it's different. We're not talking about spouses. We're talking about stepdaughter's mother at her son's birthday party. Like, I feel like that's a very similar comparison to invite someone to a wedding and be like, but I don't want your partner there. Well, then they're not gonna go. And I also think that if you're offering to have this birthday party and you're like, oh, but she can't come, but your ex-husband is like, no, she needs to come, that's my daughter's mother, it's also his house. I'm really interested in like, who's paying for the party? Not that it would matter too much, because I know then someone's gonna get in, well, what if she's a stay-at-home mom? Well, they're all adults here. There's no one to stay at home with. It looks like from the comments in the bio and stuff that the stepdaughter is like 40. But that I would also be interested in, just like for context and details of the situation. That doesn't necessarily mean that, like, without the context, without knowing what else feels like is missing, we don't know, we can't assume. So like, I feel like with the information that we have, I feel like your husband's crash out is a little extreme for sure. I guess, like, thinking about it, I have a feeling it has something to do with like, this is my house too. perhaps. I'm gonna go crab, because again, we don't know why he's crashing out. But I feel like it's very irresponsible and kind of manipulative. I don't know what word I'm looking for. Maybe manipulative is too strong or too aggressive, but I don't like the, oh yeah, we can totally host my husband's grandson's birthday party. Not that I'm doing it for his daughter, because I don't really like her, but I'll do it for his son. Like, I even feel like that was very unnecessary to say about your husband's daughter. And again, I get your reasoning. She says she's an addict and a thief and you are uncomfortable with her in your home. Okay, but then don't offer to host the birthday party. Well, I said I would pay for a venue. Okay, then just offer to pay for the venue. Like, it feels very manipulative to be like, well, we can either have it here, but she can't come, or I guess if she has to come, I'll just pay for a venue. That feels really gross. I would not be okay with someone like dangling the idea of keeping my mother away from my children, especially like a stepmother. That feels kind of gross and grimy to me. And again, I know you have your reasons. Then just don't offer your house. I don't know why that would even be an option. And honestly, I wonder if the husband's crash out had more to do with like feeling like you were putting that choice on his daughter, of like, well, how great would it be if you just like didn't have your mom around? Like, that's what it feels like. And I don't love that. So the more I think about it, the more I want to go bad apple for, actually, you know what? Maybe I will just go bad apple. I've talked myself into it. We've come full circle now. You as a stepmother should not be putting your stepdaughter in a position where she's choosing between you and her mother in regards to like fun things for her child. And you know what? I think that there are other people who might disagree with me, and that's okay, and that's valid. And I respect you that we have different boundaries, and that's fine. We don't have to have the same boundaries. What are you doing? It makes me nervous when you get on the armrests. We don't have to have the same boundaries, and that's okay. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for putting googly eyes on all the food in the fridge and creating a hostile environment at home? My roommate eats everything. I'll buy a pack of cheese sticks and they're all gone by morning. I've asked nicely if he could not eat my food. I've labeled things that were my food. No change. He eats everything. So I got creative. I bought a pack on sticky googly eyes and put them on everything. Milk, eyes. Leftover spaghetti, eyes. Judging you, eyes judging him. I even taped eyes to a banana. Well, I guess it worked. He said the eyes creeped him out and he stopped eating my stuff. Well, now he says I'm being passive aggressive and creating an emotionally hostile refrigerator and hostile environment in our home. Am I the bad apple for turning the fridge into a surveillance horror movie to stop my food from vanishing? Imagine like the audacity and the entitlement someone would have to be like, hey, I know you've asked me to not eat your food, but I keep eating your food because I don't want to have to buy my own food. But now, like, these tactics that you're using to get me to stop eating your food, they're working, and I don't like them. And so that makes you passive aggressive and creating a hostile environment. Not me eating your food and not me completely going against your wishes. And when you're asking me to not eat your food and I do it anyways, that's not creating a hostile home environment. But you using tactics and putting googly eyes on the food, that's hostile. Okay? Like, you will never convince me. Like, that is such a harmless prank. And it reminds me of when I was in Savannah for Sarah's bachelorette weekend. They were telling us about the googly-eyed, not bandit, the googly-eyed something. Kept putting googly eyes on all the statues in Savannah. And that to me is like the funniest prank ever. Because it doesn't actually cause any harm. It's just silly. It's just funny. And I cannot imagine the mental gymnastics that this guy is doing to insist that her putting googly eyes on her leftovers so that he stops eating them. Or they could both be guys, I don't know, it didn't actually say. I'm just thinking of myself. When it doesn't actually give like a gender, I just kind of think of myself in these stories. That's why I always go with her, because I'm a her. But anyways, she's putting googly eyes on her leftovers and you're upset and saying it's hostile because that means you can't just eat them. Okay? That's so entitled. I can't. No, that's a good apple from me, dog. That's so funny though. If I were to go and put, like, Sarah and John would, not that I would care. Like, I don't care if they eat anything that I buy. My favorite thing of chips, I just got a whole box of it. I showed John. I said, please try this. I need to know that you also love this because I love when people like the things that I like. But if I were to just for funsies put googly eyes on things, Sarah would think it was the funniest thing in the world. Like, she wouldn't even think anything of it. Imagine, it's so creepy and I don't feel comfortable eating the stuff you asked me not to eat anymore. Okay, good. Mission accomplished, I guess. All right, so I got a bad batch, a bad apple, a crab apple, and a good apple. A lot of apples, a lot of different apples today. At least that's what I got. I would love to know if you got anything similar or different. Let me know down in the comments. And as always, if you want a chance for your stories to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send them to my subreddit, r/amithebadapple. And for your well wishes today, it is National Oyster Day and it is National Work Like a Dog Day. That's so interesting because, like, I know the phrase work like a dog is like work hard and you go and you go and you go. But let's be honest for a second. If we look at any of the dogs in our lives, they just kind of like, I love that meme, and it's like no one sighs harder than a freeloading dog who just had all his treats in a pup cup and is just sitting in his fluffy little dog bed. You know what I mean? Like, even though, like, work like a dog day, that's me every day. Like, I am a little bit of a workaholic. So maybe that'll be my day today, because oysters, I don't hate oysters. Some people love oysters, but like food poisoning, isn't it like the most prominent with oysters and issues with oysters? That freaks me out. Not interested in that. And like, I've had oysters, they're okay, but for me, they're not so good that I'm like, oh yeah, when people get sick, it's usually from bad oysters, and I want to risk that. Like, they're not that good. They're not, yeah, no, I'm good. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day and hope to see you all next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.